Test ako, sir. Hello. Camera. Hi.
Nandito ako.
Hello.
A very good morning to one and all, respected Vice Principal, delegates, and staff and students of the institution. I welcome each one of you to the second day of the two-day national seminar on climate change, action, policies, and responsibilities of the government at Mount Everest College. We have successfully completed the program for the first day, and here we are again for the second day. And today's technical session will be led by Dr. Head of the Department of History and Member Research Committee, Mount Everest College. To begin our program, I call upon Sir Mambu for the invitation.
Let's look to God and pray. Loving and merciful God, it is because of Thy grace that we are here today in Your presence. May You continue to help us in our program in this day 2 session of this seminar. And I also pray for the presenter, Lord, who are going to present and give us a new thoughts and new ideas to all of us. May You help them and guide them and protect them, to give them a confidence so that, Lord, it will be a blessing to each one of us. And I submit the rest of our time and our program into Thy hand in Jesus' name. Amen.
I hand over the rest of the technical session to Chairperson.
Good morning, everyone. Respected President Sir Alexander Mao, the police the President of this police governing body, Sir Benjamin Mao, Principal, Vice Acting Principal of this institution, faculty members, their teachers, and honorary members. Good morning to you all. I welcome you in this two-day national seminar on climate change, action policies, and responsibilities of the government. The second day, then the second technical session. I myself, will be the chairperson of this very technical session. And today we have 12 panel presenters. Hope they all are ready. First, there is a slight change in our original programs. So first we will be having a video presentation from Hostia Tanglen, Teaching Assistant Department of Anthropology, Rajiv Gandhi University, Arunachal Pradesh, and Nalin Hangkong Postdoctoral Fellow, Department of Anthropology, Manipur University, on the topic Anthropological Approaches to the Study of Global Climate Change. Then we will have Catherine Raz Lakshmi Devi, research scholars, PhD, BLE, the English and Foreign Languages University, Ceylon campus, on the topic Bringing Climate Change Inside the ESL Classroom. Then others 10 will be, we will proceed according to the given program. So, as a beginning, without any further delay, think we shall start. It's now directly exactly 10:30 a.m. We are supposed to wind up by 1:30 a.m., 1:30 p.m. So yesterday we have given 10 to 15 minutes to each of the paper presenters. Today we will have because we are going to have valedictory programs also in the end. So we will be serious about time consuming. So we will go like this for today. Every paper presenters, they will be allowed to read out or present their papers for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, I will give a warning, and then the paper presenter must conclude the presentation within 2 minutes. So let us say that 12 minutes. So if we give 12 minutes, it will come nearly around 3 hours. Whatever we'll do in that way. So without further delay, we will go directly to the first paper presenters, and then there is Hosea Proposi, Rajiv Gandhi University.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
You're all.
Good morning, everyone. Respected teacher, my fellow presenters, and all present both online and offline. Thank you to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to be part of this seminar. I myself, Vijay Chandran, part of the University. I'm here to initiate and present and propose of the cross student study of global climate. This is a review of all the data and information are gathered from the same resources. The issues of climate change has been already stated on this. However, over the last few decades, the scientific more seriously. It can be noted that it has been easier and natural science to study climate change than social science to understand the human dimensions. Furthermore, the international political being unproductive in the and social resilience, its potential currents, and the future repercussions. So if we lack depth knowledge of the current scenario and the these issues cannot be solved, cannot be solved by the So we believe that advocacy are especially well positioned to contribute to understanding and responding to these issues. So in today's papers, I'm going to bring out three important contributions of anthropology to the global climate change. First one is the discipline. This discipline draws attention to the cultural values and political relations that set the climate and knowledge, vision and interpretation. So these insights come from the intensive work which has been a long form. The second contribution is the awareness and understanding of the historical backgrounds that represents these institutions. Which is resulted from the linguistic archaeology and which they have reflected in the histories of society and environment. The third is the project of holistic views on human and which cites the new better social good and community justice that offers to our communities. So first, the contributions of anthropology is from the ethnographic perspective. So anthropology perspective on climate change are set by the way we use to conduct climate change based on the research methodologies. So basically, anthropology conduct a long-term research in one or more communities, and gradually they gain the trust of people. They study by watching their daily activities, talking to them, and carefully observing them before taking them. So with this kind of encounter that process of learning how different group of people around the world they cope up with the climate changes. As for example, the erosion goes in the Arctic, individually because of warming in that, and farmer in the Andes. So over the last few decades, anthropology have been moving away from the study of single communities, rather it was more focusing on attention to the climate sciences, asking how we know and how we know what we know about climate change. So therefore, in-depth anthropological research will help with the various climate issues, including how to tackle the climate changes in communication, evaluating a climate change effect, making users to indicators. So anthropology can help this in considering the global influences on local and how to affect the global through the study of these scenarios. The second perspective is the historical perspective. Since anthropology interested in social patterns and practices to understand people have interacted with the surroundings throughout the recent time, the important work comes from the archaeology. This discipline, sub-disciplines of anthropology understands how people used to live in the past, like how they changed. Archaeology is also studies the ancient cities, the landscape process. This discipline makes us to understand the climate humans experts. And now the archaeologists and the paleontologists have recorded mega droughts that lasted decades and severely different power lines. So in present context, and the new sub-disciplines of anthropology called the environmental anthropology investigates and has been studying the interaction between peoples and their settings. So in environmental anthropology has looked into the past, future history, and to solve the problem. The third one is the holistic view. As anthropology is a study of many people, so anthropology contributes a comprehensive understanding of how society and the environment interact. And nowadays, people increasingly blame climate change for social and economic issues like loss of cross-border activities, and national and international security. So in this context, anthropology can combat the climate reductionism, the belief that climate was both social and environmental sustainability. So as these three perspectives from anthropology will help us to understand and to tackle the present climate change, or so to say, global warming. In conclusion, bringing together different disciplines is not an easy. However, anthropological research on the timescales on climate change will help you, and in cooperating with other natural sciences will be very helpful. Interestingly, anthropologists are not prioritized on the qualitative rather than the quantitative. This forms this this focus in depth fieldwork will enable to understand the importance and the past issues how the climate has changed. And this will surely enable us to understanding the theory and perspective of the climate changes. And I also believe that anthropology can learn the climate changes from the natural sciences. But at the same time, the natural sciences can also the human behaviors and interactions that directly or indirectly affect the climate changes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Jose Tanglen, for the presentation. highlighting how anthropology plays a significant role in understanding this climate change and can have great impact in shaping policies for climate change. And we have Ketumeum Raz Lakshmi Devi, research scholar, and then she will be speaking on bringing climate change inside the ESL classroom. And in the meantime, I would like to request uh, Ms. Pavene Taisa to get ready for the presentation. So I give Ketumeum Raz Lakshmi back.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Good morning, everyone.
Please continue.
Good morning.
Please continue.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Senapati. I'm a scholar in the Department of International Education. It was a long answer.
Please kindly on your
And
video.
today,
Kindly on your video.
And today I will be presenting briefly on the topic of building climate change inside university sector and classrooms. Now, the main objective of this paper is to bring climate change awareness inside the sector and classrooms through the method of cross-content and language tasks and activities, and will be implementing two of the main language-learning approaches, that is CPI and PBI, content-based instruction and task-based language teaching. Now, you can ask why should we use climate change as one of the content for language learning inside the classroom? It's because climate change affects everyone. It's not a personal or individual issue that affects just the viewers and the children of the planet. It's a great issue that affects each and every one of us that resides on the planet. And there is, and we can see that through observation, just normal observation as a layman, but there's not enough awareness around the topic. We can see that the general public views climate change who are very bachelors, and they're very disinterested on the topic, and view that climate change is very far from them. They view that as a foreign entity. To some people, they view climate change as a foreign entity that does not affect them at all. They view that through a lens, they view that as news items inside the weather report, and they do not think that climate change actually affects them at all. And one of the main reasons might be, there are several reasons that why that may be, but one of the reasons that might be is because of the language that surrounds climate change. You can see that the language that is around climate change is very soft, it's very measured, passive, and neutral, and it does not at all signal the urgency that is required to tackle the issue of climate change. For example, we can look at the term global warming, which was used in the earlier days, but then it had changed into climate change because several lobbyists felt that the word global warming was too harsh, was too scary for the masses, and that it might cause mass panic, and the public might go into be scared to take drastic action. So it had changed into a very neutral, very passive term called climate change. And one of the main propagators for this change was Frank Wilson, was a Republican politician who who lobbying for the change from global warming to climate change, because he thought that if people, even the word global warming is not that hard, but even this word, he felt it was too harsh and too strong to be used. So he opted for this lobbying for the change of the word from global warming to climate change, which is again very neutral, very passive, and does not reflect the urgency at all. Now, how can we tackle this issue of climate change being ignored or the awareness not being present at all? One of the ways we can do this is by using it inside the classroom, this language classrooms. And how can we do this is by raising the consciousness and awareness of the students. We can use climate change as one of confidence for language learning. Like in traditional language classroom, we usually use literature as a means of language learning. But in the content-based instruction in the DLT approach, it does not necessarily have to be dependent on literature, which is usually most of the time American or particularly European literature. It does not necessarily have to be literature. We can use several fields of these subjects. We can use geography, we can use disaster management, and in this particular case, I'll be talking about climate change as one of the content for language learning. And we can also have tasks and activities that are centered around climate change so the students can gain more awareness and more consciousness of the issue. Now, a brief explanation about the two approaches as content-based and task-to-BLT is that the syllabus is derived from the content. Usually, it's the other way around. Content is derived from the syllabus, but in CBI BLT, the syllabus is instead derived from the content, and language learning is not usually the outcome or the result that we're aiming for. The outcome or the result that we are aiming for is to acquire or learn a set of new skills or a set of new content or new information, and language learning occurs as a process of learning that new set of skills or new set of content. And the learner can also become the source of the content because the content will be localized, will be relatable, and the students can use their own experience to be part of the content. And both these approaches are very learner-centric and they aim to promote this learner autonomy and learner independence. And therefore, immersive and experiential learning theories can be applied because we're using the experiences and the viewpoint and opinions of students and not just passively listening to the lectures provided by the teachers. Now, we're explaining why we should use the CBI DLT. It's because both the approaches requires the active participation of the students. The content is localized, made easily accessible, and relatable. When we learn language, usually it's through literature, and it's not, most of the time, students don't find it very relatable. But when we localize the content, when we use our local events that are happening and in terms of climate change, we can use how the climate is changing in our current environment, how the weather is changing, how we constantly have droughts, we constantly have problems with rainfall, the rainy season being postponed or not coming at all. We can use that as content and it's accessible, it's localized, we can make use of the newspaper articles, we can make use of the news items in the TV, radio, and everything as one of the contents and as the materials for language learning. And again, as I said before, language is not necessarily an outcome of this process, these two goals, where language learning is not the end goal that we're aiming for. The end goal we're aiming for is for students to learn the particular content that is climate change in this particular content, climate change, and language learning happens as a process of learning. And when the students are active participants, they retain information more easily. When we just learn using language or any other sort of lesson or anything through a traditional method, collective method, we just listen to it, we're just passive listeners. We're not actively participating in the conversation, we're not actively participating in the lesson. But when the students actively participate in the lesson, they retain the information more easily, the interests are key, and they are maintained. Now, and also when the students are actively involved in the lesson, they are more interested in the topic, and then henceforth we can start introducing more specific language related to climate change or any other topic that we can use that in this particular context related to climate change. And then we can help develop, subsequently we can help develop their language skills required in engaging conversation and dialogue around climate change because a lot of people are not informed properly. You do not have the specific language required to tackle the issue of climate change. And through a language classroom, we can help introduce certain language skills, certain registers, certain terms, certain terminology, certain concepts inside the language classroom. And they will follow through experiential learning, which was introduced by Ford in 1970, and discovery learning, which was introduced by Brunner in 1961. Both of these theories explain that students learn more better when they are actively involved inside the classroom, either means of tasks, actually being physically involved in certain using certain tasks and activities outside or inside the classroom. Now, how and where can we implement CBI early? We can do this in all three levels of education, that is primary, secondary, tertiary level. The most important will be primary because it builds on the foundation for students, because if they do not have the primary knowledge of language skill or content, they will have problems when they ascend to the higher levels. Now, this is just one of the many examples of the modules that we use. It's not a current line module that this is the module we have to follow. It is just one of the many modules we can follow. For example, depending on the size of the classroom, we can assign the students into groups of 4 and 5, and we can explain the basic fundamentals of the 5 R's of sustainability: to refuse, to reduce, reuse, repurpose, and then recycle. After which, then we can ask the students to come up with examples of the 5 R's that they practice at home. And to give more weight to the same topic, you can use an example of a bag that was repurposed from old bed sheets as one of the examples. So the student would diagram, okay, this is one of the examples that we use. How we have anything similar to this particular item or something along those lines in our whole, so that we can, so that they understand it better when we use physical reality, which is the physical example that which I use in this context, where we call it reality inside the language classroom. And the aim and the end goal of this practice is to raise awareness of the 5 R's of sustainability. While the end goal is to raise awareness of sustainability, language learning also happens during the process where they, while trying to learn about the 5 R's of sustainability, their language learning skills of listening, vocabulary training, writing and speaking skills are improved and improved and taught inside the classroom. I won't go into detail, it's just there as listening, vocabulary, writing, and speaking. In the same way, if we go into the secondary level of practice module, the same thing, we assign the students into groups of 4 and 5. And since they're in the secondary level, we give them a more complex topic of fast fashion. Because they're at the age where teen and teenage years, where they want to
Miss
discuss
Rastafari,
fashion.
can you hear me?
So,
Hello? Miss Rastafari, can you wind up in 2 minutes?
yeah, this is the last second year. So we can use fast fashion as one of the topics, and then we can introduce the nature of fast fashion and the internal nature of it, and through that, we can learn the listening, reading, vocabulary, writing, and basic speaking skills. The same thing in tertiary level, where the content is slightly at a higher level, and the aim is to raise awareness of the topics around climate change, and then through that, the language learning skills of reading, writing, vocabulary, training can happen. These are all the same images at different levels. Now, this is the last slide. Now, why should we use ESL classrooms, language classrooms in specific? Language classrooms are not just meant for language learning. You can learn a variety of several other skills inside the language classroom. And then earlier, we discussed the importance of language that solves climate change and how it needs to change. We can do this by slowly and gradually reducing the issue of climate change inside the language classroom in very many ways, from the foundational age at the primary level. And when we do this, both language learning as well as learning about language content takes place. It also equips the students from an early age to acquire language needed to tackle the issue of climate change, and while also providing the students with additional data and input on the language required to engage in the climate change dialogue, which in turn will help in the long run achieving the language around climate change. This is for us to discuss. This is an important topic and it needs to be changed because people use the language around climate change is very passive and needs to be changed at this environment. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There is an urgent need to raise the awareness and consciousness of the masses towards the unfortunate plight of the world that we are witnessing due to climate change. And according to our presentation, the best way can be through language classroom. And by using climate change as a primary source of language educators can bring a hands-on approach to both language learning and knowledge about climate change. And this will automatically expose the student to climate-related information. This is the presentation. Very good, Nepal. Thank you, Miss, once again. Now we will proceed to the next. We have Miss Pavene Tesa is the scholar, Department of English and Cultural Studies, Manipur University. She will be speaking on the indispensable grip of language in fostering climate behavior. Miss, your time is now.
This physical present is over. If there is any question from the students, you can give 1 or 2 minutes, it's okay. But online wala do we cannot give question answer time.
Hello, good morning to respected jury members and to the chairperson and to all the students gathered for this seminar. My name is Pavine and I am a PhD research scholar under the supervision of Professor Iwam Gambhir Singh, Head of Department in English and Cultural Studies, Manipur University. So yesterday I came up here twice in hopes that I would give a presentation, but I just ended up doing some mic testing without the presentation because of some technical errors. And regardless of it, I would like to thank the committee for giving me another opportunity to present my paper. So Albert Einstein said that the world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and does nothing. So keeping this in mind, I would like to ask a question to everybody here. You can just give me a plain answer, any answer that comes to your mind. Okay. So what do you think our most powerful renewable resource is? What is the most powerful renewable resource? Anyone? Any answer to it? Alright, so for me, it is denial. Denial of climate change. You see that the world is, we all know that the world is in an ever-changing phase of climate change. Yet we are in denial of our duties and responsibilities towards bringing a change, towards a positive, bringing a positive change towards climate change. So people are just, we are just uncomfortable with changing our lifestyle. Hence, we are always in denial. Therefore, I think that denial towards climate change is one of the most powerful renewable resource, and I hope you agree with it. So my paper will talk about the role of language as a vehicle in fostering climate behavior, meaning that we need language, as my previous, the previous presenter had already also cited. We need language, we need linguistics to address the major concern of the world. Discipline that can study and explore the role played by language in exposing in exposing the unsustainability and promoting sustainable discourse. So, in exposing unsustainability and promoting sustainable discourse, I Yeah. So the language we choose to use about the environmental matters, about the environment issues, it matters a lot. But is anyone really paying attention to it? And I hope that we are not really paying attention towards the importance of language bringing awareness of climate change, right? So that's where the discipline of eco-linguistics comes into play. Eco-linguistics is a relatively new branch in linguistics that investigates the role of language in the development and possible solution of ecological and environmental problems, first brought into light by Einar Hartung in 1972. It is about understanding the role language plays in how we perceive and interact with the natural world, fostering an awareness of the importance of language in environmental discussion and action. So, ecolinguistics, in the perspectives of Halliday, he is one of the linguists, he also points out that environmental issues should have a significant role, a place in applied linguistics. And ecolinguistics, it studies the choice of vocabulary, and it also studies the ways ideas about environmental issues are presented. And then it also studies the ways ideas affect the ideas environment and how it affects the environment. Is my screen visible to everyone, or is it a little bit dark? Is it? All right. So moving on, the way our language shapes our view of the world has far more effect on the environment than we think it might be. So when it comes, it is not just about when it comes to the warning of climate emergencies. But it is also about respecting the linguistic heritage of places, which can often mean that the preservation of not of linguistic diversity, but also reflecting the deep understanding of local ecosystem, meaning that even our local languages, our mother tongue also plays a very significant role in safeguarding our local ecosystem. So how does language contribute to climate change? So how does language contribute to climate change? Number one, to communicate for awareness, communicating the urgency of addressing climate-related challenges, raising public awareness and to policymakers. The second is the way the language is framed, how the language is framed can influence how it is perceived. Say, we have two types of framing in this linguistics perspective. The negative framing, for example, if I have to give a statement, we must restrict traditional energy sources to save environment. Failing to do will result in irreversible damage to our planet. If you can notice why I put stress on the negative words, it's because such type of negative words can impact, can give a sense of, say, helplessness, focusing on negative consequences. Whereas in positive framing, for example, the embracing renewable energy sources will create cleaner, healthier planet for future generations. So here I put stress on the positive word, which inspires motivation to adopt to sustainable practices. So therefore, language framing impacts attitudes and emotions. I hope you all agree with that, right? Okay. So the third is social movements. Language plays a central role in environmental movements. Why? Because it empowers individuals to join collective efforts and advocate for sustainable practices. If you look at the climate activists, they use language to try to bring collective efforts, right? We won't know what they are up to if we do not use language, right? So it is also very pertinent in the social movements. The fourth is global collaboration. Global collaboration here, I meant to say that in order to communicate with the world and to know what is happening in South America, in Europe, in the Southeast Asian, the climatic condition happening there. If we do not have a lingua franca, for example, English is a lingua franca, right? So with language we are able to understand what is going around globally. So the rising concern of climate through a language can facilitate global collaboration and coordinate effort to address climate change on a larger scale. The last one, media influence. I'm sure that you all understand about the influence of media. So what I want to say here is media can manipulate, can fabricate, and also bring positive, give a reality check to us. So we should be able to, it is our duty to dissect language. So I will just give theories regarding linguistics. The first, let us look at some of the theories to understand how language is used. The first is we have systematic functional linguistics. It is how people use language to construct and interpret meaning. The second is biodiversity and linguistic diversity. So in biodiversity and linguistic diversity, I want to elaborate a little bit on this. Why? Because language carries unique ways of expressing worldviews and ideas. And when a language disappears, the worldview which is reflected by the language also disappears. So in our local dialects, in our local languages, we don't have particular vocabularies to express certain events or things, right? But if we use the colonized language, that is the English language, to interpret some meaning, right? So when the loss of language can also lead to the loss of natural species. That's what I want to say here in biodiversity and linguistic diversity. The third is critical discourse analysis, CDA. It aims to unveil the power relationships and ideology in society embedded in language. The fourth is multimodal discourse analysis, MDA. It talks about how meaning is created by the interplay of various modes. Interplay of various modes, meaning this, through speech, through image, and through written forms, which I'll be showing later on. And the last is ecosystemic discourse analysis, EDA. It talks about how people talk or communicate about ecosystems. So emphasis on language and communication used when discussing about ecological topics. So can you see this one? So it's a meme, okay? So I made a speech about a politician. I made a speech about climate change, then I went home on a private jet because I can. Can you get the humor? So politicians, if we climate change versus politicians versus activists. So how does politicians use language to talk about climate change? Politicians often use language strategically when discussing about climate change to align with the political agendas, and then the framing of language influences public perception. That's what we have been dealing with. And they use economic language to emphasize on financial benefits, to acknowledge the need for environmental protection while addressing concern about economic impact. And then so here in the right side, right picture, it says system change, not climate change. So we have to change the system and not the not climate change. Okay. So it's just a protest by climate activists, but we can see a banner: the importance of language through silences. All right. And the other is be a part of the solution, not part of the pollution. And the next slide is, okay, why get the the right image. Why get an education when nobody listens to the educated? So it's a protest of activists. And the other is human change, not climate change. So this is a representation of just images without any slogans. If you can see, it's the picture to my right. The right part has been rotted, the ecosystem is rotted, but the other is a natural ecosystem where everything is fresh, where everything is green, without pollution. And this side of the part, the image to the left is, the other is metropolitan and the other is just trees and nature, greens. And so the picture to my right, it says, what future do we have? Do we leave in the hands of our younger generation? And the other is, it's an ice cream, on top of it is the earth. It says, if it's melted, it's ruined. So I'll just play a sound for you. Ending.
Yes, you can conclude.
Yes, I conclude. It's not working. So it says, if we don't protect nature, we cannot protect ourselves. So in conclusion, I would like to say that language choice is instrumental in promoting sustainable behavior. In addition, the indigenous language that I talked about before can help to safeguard traditional cultural knowledge and practices related to biodiversity. Our indigenous language, let alone a second language or a foreign language, say English language, can enrich greening our education by providing traditional solution to mitigate the effect of climate change and environmental degradation. So we can harness the transformative power of language to build a collective commitment of safeguarding our planet for future generations. So one person cannot stop climate change by himself or by herself. So let's use language truly and spread the awareness of climate change passionately. So nature does not need us, we need nature. Thank you so much.
So for this, we will have a brief discussion on this topic as allowed by our chairman, Mr. Senapati. So if there is any question from the students and the faculty members, we can raise.
Yeah, any question from the students? Any curiosity that you would like to
So if not, thank you please once again. Okay, there is none. Okay. So that was Ms. Pavilion Desa, PhD scholar, Department of English, Cultural Studies of the University. This language is very important. Specific language is important when we discuss about this climate change, how important is language. In fact, words are used for creating all the creations of this universe. Strong words, proper words is required for addressing this issue called climate change. Thank you once again, Miss. We have Dr. Raymond Richmond Saxena, Director CARS, Northeast Christian University, Dimapur, Nagaland. And after this, we will give time to Dr. Wazir Alam, Assistant Professor. You may get ready for the next. So I give time to you. Yes.
Okay, let me share the slide. Not able. One minute. I'm not able to share my window, so slide. Can I go ahead without that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm not able to hear. Should I go ahead? I'm not able to.
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay. So I'm thankful to Dr. Chanson for giving me this opportunity to speak here in this very prestigious national seminar, and especially when we are talking about the climate change. Uh, my topic is impact of climate change on Asia's ecosystem, envisioning sustainable planet. As we all know, that we have been hearing that climate change has deeply impacted our lives. The whole globe is suffering because of that, and there is increase in temperature if you see past century, and 97% of climate scientists attribute this global warming to human activities. In fact, we are responsible. And if you remember, during the COVID time, one could see the sky clear, and from a long distance, even we can view Himalayas. So, how important we are in the sense, if we are destroying the environment, then we have all capabilities to correct it also. And because of the climate change, we also, the global economy is also hampered, and there is an immense disruption in the social life, in the environmental life, and so many things are happening around. There is a continuous consumption of natural resources without proper management, which is leading to greenhouse gas emissions. And then when we talk about global climate change, it is affecting our agriculture, our lands and animals, and also there is an increase in rise in ocean levels. This is the data speaks. We are not just saying like that. So these types of consequences continue to remind us, and especially when we talk to the scientific community, we are there to help them, that to understand that their role in taking care of the environment. So this may be a paper I'm going to talk. I will be sending it for publication. It will talk about the effect of climate change in Asia, examination through scientific, social, and economic lenses, exploration of ongoing scientific discourses on climate change, and the emphasis on sustainable development so that we may have a better environment. So when we talk about the understanding of climate dynamics, there is a difference between the weather and climate. Weather is like a stock market. Every day it changes. It's not being protected well. But the climate change slowly it affects the whole environment. And IPCC 2001 report attributes climate warming to human activities, and US Climate Change Science Program forecasts a global temperature rise of 1.5 to 5.8 degrees centigrade by 2100. So, long way to go, but still, if we are not cautious at present, then our generation will get affected. So, NASA defines global warming as a long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since pre-industrial period. And one of the reasons is fossil fuel burning that is leading to the increased heating trapping of greenhouse gas levels. And sorry, I prepared a slide, but not able to show you. But in my slide, I have shown how gradually, the temperature has been, increased and still increasing at a global level. So a lot of discussions happen and global initiatives happen, international regions and government levels. So many reports we can find on the website. And especially United Nations Environment Program, which started initiated in 19 So in 1988, IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, was formed, and in 1990, it started to share the report where the human activities were explored, that how much we are, trying to contribute to the global warming. And it also talks about, IPCC talks about the emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, fluorocarbons, and nitrous oxide. And then it notes that how the temperature has been increased in past few years. So Earth global trends and the Paris Climate Agreement has initiated so that we may really work together. In 1992, Rio de Janeiro summit marked the establishment of the Framework Convention on Climate Change. Nearly 200 countries came and ratified the treaty, and then the formation of United Nations Climate Change Framework Convention (UNFCCC) was founded in 1994. And then we come across this abbreviation COP, Conference of Parties, which was emerged as a principal decision-making entity convened annually since 1995. By 2019, UNFCCC has near about 197 members. Then we have heard about the Kyoto Protocol, one of the important protocol that happened in 1997 in Kyoto. Approximately 40 developed countries mandated to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, especially carbon dioxide and methane, by at least 5% from 2008 to 2012. But unfortunately, some of the countries which are economically strong, they were a little bit, hesitant in committing in reducing the carbon dioxide, and that was that affects their income. So climate impact is very much on South Asia. So there is a north and south, global north and global south. So what global north is doing is being affected in global south. So if they are not taking care of the climate, global north, so global south becomes vulnerable to that. So IPCC fourth assessment report indicates high likelihood of South Asia experiencing warming, which now you can see. They said that the Himalayan glaciers diminishing rapidly, potentially vanishing by 2035, and so on, and there are so many other things. And
there in the online.
we are called to take care of our environment. In 2016, Earth's average temperature had already risen by 1.1 degrees centigrade according to Paris Climate Agreement. What is signed and been found this year of 2015. Now there is an urgent call. Secretary General of United Nations General Assembly 2018 addressed that climate change is outpacing human response, and he urged listening to Earth scientists for effective action. IPCC special report on global warming continuously telling that there will be an increase of 1.5 degrees centigrade temperature between 2030 to 2052. 2019 special report on ocean and cryosphere highlights cryosphere's widespread shrinkage and ocean warming, absorbing over 90% of excess heat. There is danger of carbon emissions also. The more carbon is produced, the faster climate change is posing greater risk to the whole ecosystem. There is a book I would advise you to read, written by Catherine Joyce, the name of the book is Saving Us, a Climate Scientist, Days for Hope and Healing in a Divided World. So very good book, and I encourage you to read. Notice that there is significant persistent threat, and it is affecting the whole environment. And this is the latest book, a few years back, but still it is quite well in undergoing severe displacement, income loss, food insecurity, water scarcity, and forced migration. And if the north is not active, then we will be affected. So we have to unite together. Asia is something that is very powerful. If we unite together, then we can bring a lot of changes. So when we talk about the climate change in Asia, so many countries, so many cities in Asia are being affected, which will in my paper. Biodiversity impact is there, whether you talk about China, whether you talk about Iran, or you talk about any place in Asia, but there is effect on biodiversity. There are agricultural challenges. In Bangladesh, 163 million people experiences severe floods, cyclones, and droughts. And because of that, they are not able to produce food, rice, beef, because there is no displacement and people are suffering. Extreme heat incidents are happening. A lot of typhoons are coming, especially in that area of Philippines. So many people are being affected, whether young or children, and there is displacement, there is a migration that is happening. One of the things that in Jakarta, Jakarta is considered to be world's fastest sinking city. So what are we doing? Pakistan is suffering because of the climate change. There should be, this is a global challenge, and we are called to speak on this. Migration is becoming one of the problems. There is a book which was published in 2023, and it's a very good book on environment, climate change, and migration in South Asia, which is edited by Amit Rajan, Rajesh Bharat, and Pallavi Dekar. You should read that book. It talks about the migration in South Asia, and because of the environment and climate change, a lot of good research you will find in that. And then children are being affected a lot. So, UNICEF's report on children and climate change shows that because of the water scarcity, floods, coastal floods, cyclones, vector-borne diseases, heat waves, air pollution, soil and water pollution, children's health, education, hygiene, their livelihood are being affected. Millions of them are struggling and suffering. So, what is our response today? Sustainability of community resources is very, very important. We need to focus on sustainable development goals. There are 70 sustainable development goals. And I think we need to talk more on sustainable development goals, where how we can sustain our planet, how we can sustain South Asia. How can we sustain Southeast Asia? Because when we talk about sustainability is something where we try to present and help our people with their needs, keeping in mind the future generation. Sustain means we are able to support and maintain at the same time, so that our resources may continue to grow and be a blessing for others. There are three pillars that we need to look into it: social, economic, and environmental. These three are interconnected, and they are very important components when we talk about the holistic development. If any one is disturbed, then all three will fall. And that's why it is very important. So environmental stability, economic stability, environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, social sustainability are very, very important. And community resource system is also very crucial at this moment. And we are called to work efficiently in order to take care of our planet. So, I don't want to go much into the details because my paper talks about the key consideration when it comes to utilization of energy, when it comes to adaptability, or to climate change, when it comes to renewable energy, when it comes to impact on ecosystem, when it comes to community involvement and capacity building, when it comes to social equity and inclusivity. All these help us to understand how we can make our planet sustainable, as well as the efforts that being taken by different countries in different areas, whether it is economic viability, whether it is monetary evaluation system, whether it is community resilience indicators, education awareness. All these things are very, very important, and we can study some of the things that have already happened, and we can implement it in our own local places, so that globally we can contribute. So we need to love our neighbors, we need to see that the dignity and the grandeur of all living things are maintained, and there is a need of continuous interaction and respect for interesting values. So we have to embrace equality, we have to embrace eco-justice, we have to have a strong local foundation principles in order to combat this climate change. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak in this conference. Thank you.
Director of Northeast Christian University, Department of Management, speaking on the impact of climate change on SCS environment and visioning sustainable development. Thank you, sir, once again. Now we will move on to the next paper presenters, and then we will give Dr. Wazir Alam. And meanwhile, I request Ms. Narel Kavita, Department of Botany, to get ready. Sir Wazir Alam, Assistant Professor, Department of Forestry and Environment Science, Senapati University, will be speaking on the topic groundwater vulnerability assessment for Manipur Valley using geospatial techniques under changing anthropogenic and climatic scenario. Sir, you may take your time.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But now share my presentation.
He started. We have to give him after this.
Just a minute. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I go ahead? Is it visible? Presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Respected chairperson, dear faculty members of Mount Everest College, students and participants. So I am Dr. Wagir, and basically working on groundwater resources and working in Central University. My specialization is basically on the water resource management. So I will be talking today on the groundwater vulnerability assessment of Manipur Valley using geospatial techniques under the changing anthropogenic and climate scenario. So many of us will be going like when we say the groundwater is basically is a part of like freshwater resources, and when we talk about the freshwater resources, you can see the out of the all forms of water on the surface of the earth. It only constitutes the freshwater resources constitute only 2.5% of the global water resources, and out of these 2.5%, only 30.1% of this 2.5% is constituting the groundwater resources. So here, if it is the image is here. You can see that the small drop here, which is showing the groundwater resources across the globe. So apart from that, the more smaller fraction is constituted by the surface and the atmospheric water, that is 0.4% of the 2.5% of the fresh water. So basically, you can imagine now how much water we are accessible to. When it comes to the water, quality of water for our development and activities, like right from the drinking or industrial use, agricultural use. So we are dependent on this fraction of water only. And most of the time, these water sources are also either contaminated by human activity or it may be sometimes contaminated by the natural factors also. And that's why I have chosen this area of specialization, and so that at least that people can understand that what we did. Now, as per the including all the dimensions like water accessibility, availability, and impact of different anthropogenic and climate factors, there are many resources have been taken throughout the globe. But here, trying you can see the location of India, where the most of the groundwater studies have been carried out, apart from other places in the country, like if you go to the ways, most of the lines are pointing or making they're meeting at India. Okay, so that's one of the reasons where India is becoming one of the hub for groundwater studies. And the reason behind that in India, nearly more than 60% of the population is dependent on the groundwater resources for their meeting the needs for the water resources, okay, for various purposes. So, similarly, say, if you consider the geogenic contaminant, all the presence of some kind of contaminants in groundwater. So we have already come across various reports, and we know that arsenic and fluoride, there are different kinds of geogenic contaminants in the groundwater resources of India. It has been reported from various locations of the country, specifically West Bengal. Now, some part of the northeastern states like Assam, and apart from that, the Ganga, Brahmaputra, and Meghna plains that have been reported in the contamination of groundwater with different type of contaminants like arsenic. One of the major problems which is associated with the contamination of groundwater is the arsenic contamination, and it has led to a kind of spread of disease like called arsenotosis. Arsenotosis is just symptoms. Actually, it has various manifestations. It may be coming out with different types of health issues. Similarly, the fluoride in groundwater have causes fluorosis. It's a kind of manifestation of diseases in different forms, like bending of bones, deformation of bones, and all these kind of health issues that arise because of contaminated drinking of contaminated fluoride and arsenic contaminated water. Similarly, there are a lot of other geogenic contaminants like uranium, magnesium, lead, nickel, chromium. All these things are like we know about that. These are all heavy metals, which are mostly found in groundwater, because groundwater is basically occurs in aquifers, and these aquifers can be repositories of all these minerals. So as far as the geogenic contaminant is concerned, if you see the global scenario, India is one of the hub for handling the groundwater contaminants for different types of minerals like arsenic and fluoride. So this map basically showing like what is the status in this contaminant in groundwater resources in India. Now, further going to this more specificity of Indian scenario. So if I present this, that you can see this first map, which is showing the arsenic affected area in BPM plain. That is, BPM plain is Kerala, Karnataka, and Meghalaya plains. So Manipur comes under basically the Meghalaya plain. If you consider the greater Himalayan, coverage for the Himalayan catchment area. So we come mostly under the Meghalaya, and here you can see some of the states like Assam, which have been reported with the contamination of fluoride, okay? And even like uranium also, some of the states have been reported uranium in the groundwater resources. So, what is the status of Manipur here? Right now, since studies have already shown that contamination of this groundwater system like chloride and arsenic is evident, like it's there. It's not, we cannot say it's not there because we also have the same Himalayan origin, yet it is later phase of the Himalayan origin. And mostly the geologically we are connected to somehow we are connected to this B.Ed thing. So we already have some evidence of this contaminants in the groundwater, but these studies have been carried out only specifically for certain locations. So in this case, we have carried out since the groundwater uses in Manipur Valley is little bit nowadays it's increasing because of the changing hydrodynamic regime of the region. Actually, the changes changing on the hydrodynamics of the region. So the people are more inclined now slowly inclined towards the uses of groundwater in Manipur Valley. Basically, this study was focused on the Manipur Valley only, and we have tried to see what are the problems which are there in terms of geogenic contaminant in the groundwater resources of Manipur Valley. So we choose Manipur Valley as only the region of Manipur Valley. So here we basically try to see what is the groundwater level, and we wanted to see how the landscape, the red area in this location maps are showing the habitations, basically habitations, or you can see the built-up areas like human population settlements. So if we see the groundwater level is basically vary from below 10 meters below the ground level, and it extends up to say 150 meters above the ground, up to 150 meters below the ground level. But most of the groundwaters are shallow or moderately shallow in nature. And if you see the density of the populations, like here, so this the population, this red area, red portions are showing the built-up area. That shows basically the population density. So in order to justify our work, actually, we try to divide the whole area into certain grids, so that the representation of the data from each of the locations of Manipur Valley is there, so that we can get a true picture of the groundwater contamination. In terms of that, we try to divide the whole area into grids, so that at least all these grids are represented. And fortunately, we found some sources, but since groundwater is not excessively used in Manipur Valley, but people are using it. But we cannot say that excessive use is there, because mostly people are dependent on surface water, and moreover, they are dependent on supply water. But still, we found some sources. We collected nearly over 40 groundwater samples, and we did analysis, like we took the measurements in the field and we took the measurements in the laboratories, and these are all these technical things we have done. And finally, we tried to compile what is the status. Like we wanted to show the geospatial distribution of the parameters in terms of how it is spread and which are the locations which are more vulnerable. So these locations are basically found out in the geospatial mapping. So these are some kind of techniques and tools which we use, like to find out the different indices, groundwater quality indexes, then pollution index in groundwater, then we try to find out the limited pollution index depending on the say groundwater quality, different parameters. So as far the water quality is concerned, groundwater quality is concerned, so we found that most of the water has this high resolution of salts. Okay? Like for example, when you have dissolved salts, the salts basically comes from the say different ions, cations and anions present in there. And most of the cations which we are talking about, like maybe it may be apart from the basic cations, there may be some cations which may be present which are not good for human health. When you drink them, and it can cause problems like heavy metals or trace elements like arsenic and fluoride, not fluoride and arsenic, uranium, or all other heavy metals. So we found like most of the groundwater samples, like quite huge number of groundwater samples that is in during the pre-monsoon season, 28% and 30% in post-monsoons are having high resolution of salts. That is increasing the case of similar is related from the electrical connectivity also. This electrical connectivity is a parameter which can tell you how much dissolved ions are there in the ground. So it's like we found it's quite high, even 84% during pre-monsoon and 85% during post-monsoon are showing very high resolution of some sort, which is not good for human consumption purpose. Similarly, the hardness also shows some kind of say result which is not acceptable. Basically, as per the US United States Geological Services classification, so we found most of the water are in the category of hard and medium. And this is the reason, like most of the, if we say why people have less affinity for the use of groundwater is because of the hardness, because that changes that changes the aesthetic quality of the water. So hardness, basically when people drink hard water, they will not feel like a good taste in their mouth. They will, that's why people have less preference for the groundwater. But there's, in one way, it's blessing in disguise because hard water, that's why people are not using, and maybe due to that, many health issues like arsenic, problems due to, say, arsenic and fluoride, maybe not occurring at present in Manipur because people are not much using the groundwater. Similarly, when it comes to fluoride, as I said, fluoride is one of the main problems here in some locations of Manipur Valley. So you can see the red portions where you can, in the map, the red portions or the red maps which are like quite big, but the locations which are yellow in color, we are expecting these regions may be vulnerable for the fluoride contamination. And when we try to plot these values with respect to the date, and we found that most of the fluoride sources in groundwater mostly found in the region for 40 to say 80, 100 feet below the ground, 100 meters below the ground level. So that is, this is the aquifers which are more vulnerable. This is the aquifers which are present below the ground. These are more vulnerable in terms of say fluoride contamination. So since we do not have more data on the data yet, so this information we cannot say that this fluoride may not be found in the data yet. That information we cannot share because we do not have the data for, we do not have the depth information as well as we do not have the information about the water table in those locations. So this is another dimension of this studies. In future, if someone wants to carry out, they need to see whether this below layer, like the layer below the 100 meter, is safe or not. So that we need to find it out. Similarly, the iron is one of the problem which generally causes.
Yes, Dr. Wazir, can you hear me? And Dr. Wazir, please, if you please kindly summarize and conclude. We are running out of time. Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, please make your concluding remarks.
What you want me to finish it?
Yeah, concluding remark. Please, we are running out of time. Please you can take 2 minutes and go.
Okay, sure. So we have similarly arsenic and other parameters which we cannot get time to today. These are the situations. And I'll go to the conclusions because as for the irrigation water is also there. In some most of the irrigation water is useful for say most of the ground sources can be used for irrigation purpose except in cases. But basically the major finding that is for as far the groundwater quality index and pollution, groundwater pollution index is concerned and heavy metal pollution index is concerned. Like we found a very huge amount of pollution, large percentage of samples under unsuitable conditions. So what exactly we need to do, right? Already we know the old result in Southeast Asian countries like where it falls under Southeast Asian countries region, and we are in a field of like say this problem already, this region is already in the field of this problem, apart from the other regions. So we require a proper investigation. We require once we are discussing this groundwater or any purpose, whether it's a clothing or drinking water uses or irrigation uses, we require proper investigation of these sources. And for that we require effective at present we require proper water uses policies so that the government of Manipur can take up some say initiative to have a proper say groundwater usage policy so that in future the people are safe from this kind of say disasters like health disasters related to the arsenic and fluoride contamination of groundwater. So with that it was good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing your findings and your information regarding groundwater productivity assessment of Manipur Valley using this technical geospatial techniques, changing and composing and climatic scenario. Thank you once again, Professor Wazirallah. And
Thank you.
we will move on to the next. We will have Nauren Babita as announced, and then after this, I request Dr. Samsung to get ready for the next. Nauren Babita, Department of Botany, Manipur University will be presenting paper on diversity of arbocastler mycorrhizal fungal associations in 3 bamboo species of Manipur. Nauren Babita.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes, please start.
Yes, sir. I'm showing my PPT. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, it is visible.
Good morning, everyone. This is Nora Kavita, and I'm a research scholar of the University of Himachal, Professor Aramante. And the topic also of my presentation is diversity of herbivore mycorrhizal fungal association in 3 bamboo species of Manipur. Herbivore mycorrhiza are a group of fungi that belongs to the phylum Longia and it forms symbiotic association with this majority of land plants. They are known in the plant growth and productivity by enhancing the mineral upgrades like phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium. Bamboo is most versatile forest products and they are the most important renewable natural resources which have the capability to produce maximum biomass compared to other forest products. And this concept is by Das and Kayam, according to them. And according to Nathali Das, Manipur has about 35 species of bamboo belonging to the genera. Although this underscore mycorrhizal associations have been reported as by several resources in many plants, but the information also of the diversity of their association with bamboo growing in Manipur is not known yet. So our present study has been carried out to examine the mycorrhizal association in 3 bamboo species, that is Bamboo cannabis hamiltoni, Bamboo and Luciferius. These are my objectives: collection of resistant soil samples of the selected bamboo species, and then analysis of the soil physiochemical properties like the texture of the soil, pH of soil, electrical conductivity, organic carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Then extraction and identification of the M. spores morphologized from the resistive soil of the selected bamboo species. This is the study location. Site is Impal East Street, Marion Hill. So from this site is I have collected the bamboo species. These are my materials and methods. The first one is selection, sample collection. Soil samples of the three bamboo species were collected from Marion Hill, and elevation of this location was between 790 to 900 mean above sea level. And then spore analysis was done using the methods of Gordon and Wilson and second Aristotle. Soil properties analysis were done using the first one, soil texture, where was hydrometer by Allen et al. Then is the pH of the soil and electrical conductivity using digital pH and conductivity meter. Organic carbon contains were assessed by rapid fragmentation environmentally and impact. And then is the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium contains was assessed using the method of Mr. Jackson. So these are the spores which were isolated from the rhizosphere. The rhizospheres over the bacterium species. And the first one is Echolospora, second one is Echolospora rami, the second one is Echolospora scropiculata, third one is Echolospora species. D is Emispora, and E is Phaneliopolis geosporum, F is geosporum and Glomus emisporum, and G is Glomus diaphanum, Glomus metrocarpum, I is Glomus technicali, J is Glomus multicali, A is Glomus species, L is Rhizophagus fasciolatus, M is Sclerosis sinusa, N is Scutellaspora species, N and O are both the Scutellaspora species, E Septoplomus montelanum, and the last one
after
is
the
Septoplomus orchidatum.
after
These are the 17 spores which I have isolated from the rhizosphere spores of the tree bamboo species. This is the soil properties of the tree bamboo species, where I got a maximum of 8 polarizations in Dermatologous and which have the average of all the properties like this EC content, pH content, organic carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. This is the table showing related abilities and solution ratio of the AM scores, where Phaneliopolis geosporum reports the highest, and what the related abilities and solution
after that this was
So,
the
the last
this
a total of 17
this one is
species belonging to eight genera, that is Echolospora, Emispora, Phaneliopolis, Glomus, Rhizophagus, Sclerosis, Scutellaspora, and Septoplomus were selected, and Glomus reports the maximum number of 10 species. Soil properties were significantly different among this selected diverse species, and the highest species means the highest reporters of N scores was reported from Dendroclonus albuminoi. Maximum relative abundance and associated frequency were as shown in the last slide, were reported from Phaneliopolis geosporum. So, my conclusion is that these air spores are known to have a symbiotic association. Means symbiotic we can them as natural and biological way to compare this the land nutrition others sustainable aesthetics and environmental management programs as they are known to increase the soil fertility. So that's all. Thank you.
Reception battery Salam
The
Nirmala.
diversity of fungal that
He's out.
is
Battery is
associated
out.
with three bamboo species. In the case of Manipur, the Bangladesh, bamboo species Dendrocalamus hamiltona, L. nativiflorus, and then B. Thank you, please, once again for sharing your findings.
Sir Samson is outside. This will go to his Salam. Sir Samson battery is out. He left at home.
He's still there.
He's still there. Sir Samson is there.
Sir Samson, can you hear me? Sir Samson, can you hear me? Hello? Sir Samson,
Mute down here. Mute.
will you please mute your laptop? Sir Samson will be speaking on the politics of water, water war, and eco-theology, the principle of mountain management. Sir, your time starts now. You have 10 minutes, sir. Sir, are you able to unmute those? Please unmute your laptop, sir.
Unmute down. Cannot hear. Sir, we cannot hear you. Please unmute. Unmute your microphone. We can't hear you, sir. Okay, sir, please kindly come next. We can solve your technical problem. So please kindly go next.
Okay, then we will come later to this section after the. Now we will move on to the next presenter, Salam Nirmala Sabji Chanu. Nirmala Chanu, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She is from the Department of Botany, Manipur University, and she will be leading on presenting on the wrong topic. So I will just give the time to her to save time. So you can continue.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Salam Nirmala, a research scholar in the Manipur University, Department of Health Science, Botany.
Here, certainly.
Sir, is my slide is visible?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Slide.
yes.
No slide, no video.
So today I'm going to present on assessment of coloration pattern of the Arabscular mycorrhizal and large septate fungi in the roots of the Citrus reticulata, Citrus coronicolia, and the Echinacea sciences growing in Manipur, Northeast India. In next decade, the major challenge for the horticulture or the agriculture will be the adoption of the new paradigm sustainable intensification to meet the human needs for production of enough food at global scale while maintaining the environmental quality and reducing the input of the chemical fertilizers and pesticides. This objective could be pursued by giving more attention to the application of the beneficial soil microorganisms among which AM and BSC fungi represent a key functional group. Arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi belonging to the phylum Coleophyta are the beneficial soil microorganisms establishing physiologic symbiosis with the roots of the 80% of the terrestrial land plant and playing a major role in maintenance of soil fertility and provide many benefits to the plant in exchange of the plant assimilated life. In addition, the AM fungi and interest has recently been the another group of the colonizing fungi, that is the dark spectral fungi belonging to the phylum Stomatophila. They are widely distributed with colonizing fungi which are characterized by the melanized septate hyphae and compared with areas in Castellan, microsporosia, and uniform structures that often coexist with the AM fungi and the white copies of the host plant. Here I have mentioned some of the benefits of the AM and BSC fungi. First one is they improve plant growth and development. And second, they enhance the uptake of the water and mineral nutrients, especially phosphorus and nitrogen. They also protect the plant against the bacterial and abiotic stresses. They improve the soil structure and help in the formation of stable aggregates in the degraded habitat. They also alter the environmental, post-environmental so, in view of this potential importance of this fungi and lack of the previous study in Manipur, detailed survey of the indigenous AM and BSC fungal group colonizing frequency in different plants for the commercial and other regards one of the Indo-Brahma conclusion would provide
He's online now.
the basis for the application in sustainable agriculture. Therefore, the present piece of work is undertaken to study the colonizing pattern of the AM and BSC fungi in the roots of the three fruit plants. That is, Echinacea sinensis, Citrus reticulata, and Citrus coronicolia. Collected from an orchard in the Eastern village of the Kamuki district, Manipur, Northeast India. So this is my study site. It is an orchard in the Eastern village, Kamuki district, Manipur. So for my sample, I have collected the rhizosphere soil and rhizosphere root, which are separately packed in different polythene for each plant. The rhizosphere soil were collected by being cured to 20 centimeters of the soil pores from the 5 individual of these fruit plants, and the rhizosphere roots were collected by pressing to their origin to make sure that it belong to that particular plant only. And the collected soil samples were air dried in the shade, and they were divided into two parts. One part of the soil sample were used for the extraction of the AM fungal spores, and the other part of the soil sample were used together and they will be used for the analysis of the soil physicochemical properties. And the collected root samples were washed thoroughly and they were fixed in the FAA solution, that is the permanent acetate alcohol solution, until processing. The soil physicochemical properties were analyzed by taking the subset of the soils from the composite soil samples, and the soil texture was determined by using the verbose hygrometer method. Soil pH and EC was determined by using the crystal pH and EC meter. Organic carbon was assessed by the rapid hydrogen method, and total nitrogen by the hydrogen ammonium acetate. Second step is the estimation of PA and PAC fungal polarization in the root. The collected fixed root samples were cut into small segments approximately 1 centimeter in length when they were cleared in the 2.5% KOS potassium hydroxide solution for 1 to 2 hours acidified with 1 normal HCl and they are scanned in Japan to lactobacillus overnight at the room temperature. The percentage of the root gland polarization was estimated according to the magnified intersection method given by the McGonigal et al. 1990. It was calculated by using the given formula. One-way analysis of the variance was used to test the significance of the various individual properties, AM and DSC fungal variables in the collected fruit plant shoot. Gains were separated by Dunkel multiple range test.
Sir Samson is not there.
Significant difference among these Pearson correlation were carried out to assess the relationship between physicochemical properties and the correlation by the AM and DSC fungi. Here this table shows the physicochemical properties of the tree fruit plant. In my study, the soil samples of all the tree fruit plants were found to be acidic and pH are slightly acidic in nature. pH range from the 6.1 to 6.57 and the level conductivity range from the 0.29 to 0.41 and organic carbon is found highest in case of the intermediate sinuses with 4.55 and the lowest in the citrus reticulata with 2.48 and the total nitrogen range from the 0.54 to 0.66 and our low phosphorus is found maximum in the citrus reticulata and the lowest in the citrus auriculola and actionable potassium range from the 340 to 784.40. It is both highest in the citrus reticulata. All the soil variables were except the all soil variables of all the tree fruit plants except the nitrogen are found to be significant. And this table shows the percentage of the root gland colonized by different structures of the AM and DSC fungi in the roots of the intermediate sinuses, citrus reticulata and citrus auriculola. Here, these percentages are always representing percentages of the root gland by colonized by hyphae, and this one is by hyphal wall, this one is by the arbusculate wall. Here, A represents the arbuscule, B the vesicle, and this one is the total percentage of the root gland colonized by the total AM fungi. And here, this one is the percentage of the root gland by the dark septate endophytic hyphae, and this is the percentage of the root gland by the microsporosia or uniform structures. And this was the percentage of root gland by the total dark septate endophytic fungi. From this table, I can say that the total colonization by the AM fungi is found maximum in this citrus reticulata with 91.14 and the lowest in the intermediate sinuses 78.86. And in case of the dark septate endophytic fungi, the colonization is both highest in the intermediate sinuses and lowest in the citrus auriculola. This figure shows how the different structures of the AM and DSC fungi colonize in the roots of the mycetic fruit plants. The first, this shows the how this is the epithelium. This is the first entry point of the M fungi in the roots of the fruit plant. The second one is the representing arbusculate wall. D is the vesicle here. And this one is the arbuscule, this is the hyphal wall. And the S is the dark septate endophytic. This is characterized by the melanized and septate structure. And this MI is the microsporosia. This is a structure of the dark septate endophytic fungi. Here this table shows the various very different structures of the fungi. So the different structures on the AM, some of the different structures of the AM and DSC fungi are found to be negatively or positively correlated to provide the first comprehensive report on the AM Review Association and the rules of the fruit plants, species from Manipur, Northeast India, and collaboration by the ESC Punjab in Clinical Sciences and Subjects already earlier had been reported for the first time from this study. So, in conclusion, excuse me. So in conclusion, I can say that present finding will specific fruit plant species have a strong symbiotic association with both the AM and DC Punjab in subtropical region of the Northeast India. We also observed that the examined roots of the three fruit plants were heavily colonized by the AM and DC Punjab, which shows the activity of the endoryzal association in the roots of the fruit plants of this region. Thus, these observations are of the great importance to indicate the possibility of utilizing the native AM and DC Punjab in horticultural practice in future for better management, environmental conservation, survival and sustainability of plants and soil, ultimately reducing the dependency on the chemical fertilizers. These are some of my references.
Thank you.
And from
Thank you,
the
sir.
Department of Science, Colonial Universities. He was speaking on assessment of colonization patterns of aspergillus, mycorrhizal, and dark-sected endophytic fungi in the roots of Citrus reticulata, Lenco, Citrus aurentifolio, Spindle, and Actinidia sinensis plant growing in Manipur, Northeast India. Long topic. Anyway, was a good finding. Thank you once again, Miss. So now we'll come back to our Sir Principal, Dr. Senapati. Sir, can you hear me now, sir? Sir, Dr. Senapati.
Sir, Dr. Samson, can you hear me? Hello, sir.
Yes, can you speak?
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible now. Please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay then. Yeah, we are with the test and won't expect much because of the system here problem. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear. Please continue, sir.
This is the continue, we can hear you on the next.
The human ecology is deeply conditioned by belief. That is religion. Religion is very in understanding the ecology. So ecology is nothing, it is the relationship between plant, animal, and all these things. This is ecology. So there is a worldview which will be into the external world, and this is aided by dualism in philosophy, which is outright in connection with duality, treating one higher and one lower. That is what we have between human beings and other beings that are lower. So this is the problem with our religion. So therefore, environmental crisis is also concerned with the kind of creatures we are. Whether we are concerned with of the
She may be touching something. Tom tadung ngara le. He will be. Yeah, you left. Okay, you resign again, sir, please.
As we meet Sir Samson.
Next kita po.
After this Sir Samson, we will be having 3 more papers, but all those 3 papers will be presented offline. So we are. Oh, still have one more. Please, after this presentation, Sir Samson's presentations, we will give time to Dr. Ketune Vijay Lakshmi Devi. So please, please come.
Sir, continue. Sir Samson, please continue, sir. Unmute your microphone.
Is it okay?
Yes. Okay.
Is it okay? Yeah, okay. So human condition is deeply human condition is conditioned by religion. This is my first point. Religion could be any religion, but I am dealing more with our Christian world and then on other philosophies too. So dualism, there is one and two. There is a dual perspective. One lower, one higher. This is in every religion. Some group inferior, some group dominant. So in Christian religion, we human beings assume ourselves as higher and treat the environment lower. That is how our environment suffers, how the climatic conditions are changing. Many of my associations are taking out their time to find out the meaning of all this. They are comparing their own perspective. Now they call it global, not only warming, they call it, some of them even call it boiling. So the world is boiling in some sense. The world is warming in some sense. Fires are there everywhere, forest fires. When we look at the world in this time, it is no wrong to say that the world is warming. It catches fire, forest fire, economies are burned down, animals are burned down in different parts of the world, which we come across in the media, particularly during the COVID times. Australia was burned down, all the species were burned down, and later on even Brazil, the Amazon forest was burned down by itself. This is because of the climate change, because of the global warming. So in this way, we define that other theories or other speakers have their own view, they are right in their own perspective. But environmental crisis is a kind of concern with the kind of creatures we are. We are exploiting, over-exploiting the environment, and so accordingly the effects on us. And this is what we learned from Reverend Richmond, saying the divide of the global south and the global north. So global north are the upper part of the map, world map, which are the other countries. They are the ones treating us bad. They are giving us all sorts of communication which is contributed by them, not we global south contributed pollution. It is contributed by the global north, the developed countries, their economy, their industries, the smoke, the fumes, those are flying in the air towards the south, and the southern world is the sufferer. So it is not that only one country contributes and only that country contributes. No. One country like America is a small country compared to China, but it contributes more pollution than China. And even the small countries in the global south, many of them together, it doesn't contribute a small bit of it because America destroyed the world in pollution. So this we have to know. That is how the line was drawn between the global south, the sufferers. So my topic is on more of the global south. In
Sir, your network is not working. We can't hear you now. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
So that was Dr. Samson presenting on the particular title, the politics of water. Thank you so much. We have a lot of technical problems. We'll move on to the next. We have Dr. KSH Vijayalakshmi Devi, Assistant Professor, Department of English, MESc. So her topics will be language, politics, and climate change, highlighting the dangers. Please, Vijayalakshmi, the time start now. You have 10 minutes. You can conclude in 12 minutes.
Please start, please.
A very good afternoon to everyone present. I am Senapati from the Department of English, Mount Everest College. And the topic that I will today is language politics in climate change, and I think the future. Before that, I will just try to So this seminar has 4 papers related to language and climate crisis. So at first, before starting the seminar, when you just go to the topic, you must be wondering what is the relationship between language and climate change. That totally opposite subject might be wondering, but as you listen to the presentation given during the seminar, those three presentations related to language, now you must be convinced that language has some relation with climate change and be very crucial role since meaning people ascribe to climate change is closely related to how it is portrayed during communication. Language is not only expression of facts and observation, but also influence people's preferences and perceptions of the risk related to climate change. So, in my paper, I will try to study the issues related to climate change, knowledge, and through linguistic representation. This paper will also discuss how politics and language construction and formulation creates a gap between climate action and climate solution. So like when we analyze the current language climate crisis scenario, we found that the lexical term used in the climate change reference to passive neutral language. That is, it sounded very mild and even politically positive and inconclusive at times. It does not highlight the danger because it was worded in such a way that was presented as if it is a very mild, not harmful situation. So this kind of language needs to be dismantled, and then we need to reframe the language in order to highlight the future. However, this treatment of language is taking place at a very low pace, but at the same time, it has started. So the paper, the garden is, and I quote it, the paper quote that we want to be sure that we are doing such political science while also contributing very freely on this very important issue. Today's climate change sounds rather passive and yet when what scientists are talking about is a catastrophe for humanity, and I unquote. According to the Guardian paper, they have started changing the term climate change today. So, like, even for this seminar, we are using the term climate change, right? But according to the Guardian paper, and linguists, we found the term climate change to be a very mild and technical thing because the term change, it can because the term change can have different meaning, right? It can also refer to both bad as well as good, can change of our environment from good to bad as well as from bad to good, right? It can even refer to the cases where environment revival occurs, for example, from deforestation to cases of afforestation, right? So that is also part of climate change, right? So it has its own meaning. So people have started changing the term climate change to climate emergency or climate crisis or climate breakdown in order to highlight the severity of the situation. So, but it is happening at a very slow pace, okay? But nevertheless, as people started replacing the word climate change with climate emergency or climate crisis. And the same thing, we have been using the word, the term global warming, right? But today's word, global warming has been changed to global heating, okay? And then people suggest that this emergency and global heating have been increased usage, okay? The dictionary Oxford and Cambridge, they have reported that over the last few years, there is increase in usage of these words, okay, like almost like 10 times more than previous years. So it is a new change. So I would say, and I think when we talk about language policy, in climate change, we will come across this term called language framing. Okay? So what we are doing in language framing is that the words are framed in such a way that it means into a totally new different words. Okay? For example, having with environmental issues, right? But some politicians or policy makers, they use certain terms like culture, and they change the notion of climate change to as an economic and technical discourse. We presented climate change as it is a market failure instead of an environmental failure. So what happens is framing takes place and you can. It is a political topic and it is crucial way in which different political groups try to impose their views on others. One instance of it is climate change was presented as market failure and instead of an environmental issue. The UK Labour government in the late 2000s made a one chose for climate campaigns as a discussion about economics with the publication of government research term report that is in 2007. Here, served by economic and economists and the government advisor presented climate change as a market failure and anticipated the monetary costs and benefits of climate action. Instead of focusing on the solutions of climate change, he totally changed the course of the climate change So that is how language plays the role of framing these words in language and the potential to put a situation in a totally different word, totally different space. The same thing, yes, right. The climate change as a market failure is still all an environmental issue. And then have the language in unintelligent language, we have this narrative, right? And we are talking about climate change with some narration, right? In order to disseminate information to the public, we use certain narration, and this kind of narration is usually done by policymakers or politicians or the government. Okay, how the public perceives the risk of climate crisis greatly influenced by the words we use. For example, the word negative has a meaning of its own. Perception is associated with the word negative as something bad or something like something unpleasant or taken. And the very word negative in terms of climate change has a different meaning. For example, the word negative emission, that is the removal of carbon dioxide from the air. It's a very good thing. The removal of carbon dioxide from the air is a very good thing, right? But the term negative is like treated as if it's a very bad thing, because the word negative has a very different meaning from the scientific terminology. So when people get negative, people think that it's bad, and then we start to dissociate the word from it. So, and then another example is the word natural. When we heard the word natural, we usually associate the word natural with free from chemical or something like that. Even this word is quoted in the climate change scenario. The word, for example, the word natural disaster, it usually refers to the disasters like volcano, hurricane, which is done due to the law of nature and not due to human disaster. But this term being natural has been exploded, terming like those climate systems like heat waves, flooding, and natural disasters. Because we know this heat wave and considered certain categories of natural disasters, but the underlying situation is not natural, but it is due to different actions. Right. So all politics of the city framemakers has explored this word natural is being termed this kind of disasters in heat wave or severe flooding under the term of natural disaster. And then they try to run away from that problem. They present to people that as it is a natural disaster, you cannot prevent it. It happens in the course of nature and God. So we women have nothing to do. So they read from the word and they read from the problem and they run away. So like I say, there are certain exploitation of natural terms. It's not just natural, there are many terms which are explicitly exploited in politics. And then another one is there are certain organizations, there are certain climate activists, certain things, the public just the idea behind the scientific story, but it's console and there is uncertainty. So this category of this climate, this overall climate activists take advantage of the situation and spread misinformation on and the way to counter this is to get out of advice, creating public from accurate information and helping people recognize this information techniques. And researchers have determined a method of explaining this information technique while highlighting correct information that is effective on preventing misunderstanding. And under this is created most of the people who are controlling the language are politicians and the policy makers. Because the purpose of climate change required extreme in turn required government to be on monitor and of climate change. Okay, but here the government are playing complex issue of climate crisis by activists shaping and crafting language to their output. Okay, so they are deciding the language and politicians change their use of science is very selective. The words they use is very selective. They will choose certain words which will be in favor of their party, and then they will omit certain languages which will be against the parties to their party. So their use of science is very selective, with risk of irreversible climate change and climate change ignored. By doing so, we are framing a difficult, complex issue in a very less threatening way, and instead we are suggesting
But when they never put in my publication so good. Soft copy ni sabi na mo do. Side paper kalau copy paper kalau type so dia tu tu.
Ini terus je ke mah?
paper collection so ni publisher mah tahu sini context check lah ni jun ko te problem mo. Ini nak dia jual kalau
However, what can we do to stop that is to involve in this policy version of climate change, and then they should be given to specify certain words. They should involve politics. Oh, they are politics right now. They should. But when these policies are framed, the correct terminologies will be replaced. So instead of like correct terminologies will be specified. Though doing so, the miscommunication, the misfiring of language can be stopped. The main thing is that to be followed by the word and action should, if we change only the language, we won't then pick up anything else. There's words and go hand in hand. So what I want to present from this presentation is blending with climate change, but at the same time, actions to be followed after this language. So with this, I just add that language plays a very crucial role in climate change. So with this, thank you.
Our paper clearly mentions about dangers while studying about this climate change, how politicians are politicizing some language while studying this climate change, or discussing issue related to climate change. So there are some words which politicians or government of different countries are exploiting as danger. Good paper, please. Thank you once again. Moving on, we have 3 more scholars, and they are Sir Dr. Daniel Clean, Assistant Professor in the Department of Physics, LSC, and then Ms. K.L. Vasiko, Research Scholar, Dean University Manipur, and then last will be Sir Dr. V.S. Paul, Assistant Professor, Department of Port Science, MSc. So we please listen carefully, and then we can also have a discussion after every presentation. So if there is any, we will give. And then the title of Dr. Daniel is Organic Entry. So your time starts.
Thank you, sir. Very good afternoon to everyone. So today I'm going to speak about an overview on the advancement of organic batteries. Energy sources are divided into 2 types: non-renewable and renewable energies. So non-renewable energies mostly come from fossil fuels, and fossil fuels are very rich in carbon, and when we use them, it emits lots of carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, and it produces lots of greenhouse effect. And so, governments and public are trying to shift this energy source from non-renewable to renewable energy sources. energy sources which we are using, about 80% of them comes from the fossil fuels, and 18% comes from renewable resources such as solar power, wind, hydropower, biomass, and only around 2% comes from nuclear energy. And nuclear energy, even though it has bad reputations, it is considered as one of the cleanest form of energy if there is no accident or intentional misuse of energy. It may look controversial, but it is more greener compared to solar and hydropower. For example, for building a hydropower, you need to build a dam, and that dam will cover up a large area of land, and it will cover up the flora and fauna present in those land, destroying the environment. Okay? Similarly, like solar power, the solar panel. Let's say for solar panel, the life expectancy of a solar panel is around 25 years, and the batteries which we use are expected to last around 7 to 10 years. So after 50 years, if every household start using solar power, the waste that is obtained will be in a huge quantity. Okay? And however, for nuclear energy, since we can use a little amount of nuclear material to get a large amount of energy, the waste that we obtain is also going to be very little, and it will be able to contain a small container even after 100 years. However, since it has a bad reputation and public doesn't want it, we have to seek towards the renewable energy such as solar energy. And solar energy is not only solar energy and wind energy are time dependency and weather dependency. You can't use the solar energy at all time or cloudy at night. So if we have to seek towards this renewable energy, then a battery is a must. A good battery which can store energy is a must, without which our seek towards the renewable energy will be impossible. So this is a brief history of the batteries. The first battery was invented by Alessandro in 1800, and the name of battery is named after him, Volta. It is made up of copper and zinc stacked with some electrolytes. And of course, during this time, they invented some other batteries. However, the first rechargeable battery, or the big leap in the history of battery, comes when lead-acid battery was invented by Gaston in 1859. However, lead also has its disadvantage. It is highly toxic and it is heavy. So lead-acid batteries are not portable, and it is not comfortable for electric vehicles or portable objects, electronics. So this comes. So next comes lithium-ion battery. The lithium-ion battery, the concept was first introduced by Whittingham, and then it was also further improved by Goodenough. However, the commercializations or the batteries become available to the public only in 1991 after the much improvement done by Dr. Yoshino, who is working in a Sony company. So next comes the organic batteries. So the concept was already introduced in 1969. However, not much improvement or work was done, as most of the scientists who are working in batteries are concentrated towards the ion battery. The interest is only revived after a paper published by these three scientists, Poisson, Tarascon, and Armand in 2018. It's 2008. So this is the principal working of a battery. So battery usually composed of three components: cathode, anode, and electrolyte. So here the sodium. So the sodium can absorb in electrons. Sodium ion can absorb in electrons and become sodium atoms, and sodium atoms can lose an electron by becoming a sodium ion. So for example, when a battery is delivering a power, the sodium atoms which is present at anode will lose an electron which will constitute a current, electric current. And the cathode will absorb the electrons and will absorb the electrons, and the sodium ions which is present in cathode will turn to sodium atoms. So for when charging, the reverse actions take place. There are some pros and cons for organic batteries. There are four big disadvantages of organic batteries. They are highly soluble, they have low electric conductivity, they have low volumetric density, and low cyclability. Okay. So here, the electrodes, the cathode, if it is made out of organic batteries, it can dissolve in the electrolyte, which will reduce the lifespans of batteries. If the electronic conductivity is low, we will require lots of energy in order to charge the battery. And if the batteries have low volumetric density, that means in order to have a useful capacity, we will need a large volume of battery. And large volume of battery and low cyclability. If the cyclability of a battery is low, then the lifespan of the battery will be low. Let's say the cyclability of a battery is 1000. Then you can charge the battery only 1000 times, and after which the capacity will reduce drastically. So we want a battery with high cyclability. So, however, there are some advantages. There is a huge potential, even though the potential is not tapped. There is a huge potential for increasing the capacity. Organic materials, they usually have multi-electrons reactions. They are environmentally friendly, they are biodegradable, they are designable, and usually have low cost. Okay? So even though there are lots of disadvantages for organic batteries, there is a necessity. Okay? It is a necessity for shifting from inorganic to organic because of the environmental factor, because of the depletions of resources, and the cost. For example, this is an example of world lithium reserves. Around 50% of lithium is reserves only in one country, Chile, and the other 36% is distributed in Australia, Argentina, China. However, the rest of the world has only about 14% of lithium. So and it is also expected that by 2025, about a quarter of the lithium will be depleted. So if this happens, the price will increase exponentially. So these are some of the materials which has been studied for using as organic batteries, like carboxylate organic compound, lithium tetraethyl, polymers, halogens, and lithium inonate. So this is the studies done by Lekochi, and it was published I think in around 2018. So he compares the capacity of the lithium inorganic batteries with the lithium organic batteries. The yellow color which is shown here is the lithium inorganic, lithium iron phosphate, and the others lithium inonate and lithium is organic compounds. And as you can see, the capacity and the potential are very much comparable to the inorganic one. And another advantage of lithium organic compound is that this lithium compound can easily be replaced by other material. Once we know and once we develop this lithium inonate battery, we can easily replace with with other cheaper metals like sodium, potassium, or magnesium. And And so there is still lots of improvement need to be done for organic batteries. So if students are interested, this is a field which you can do research and excel or save our environment. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Senapati. So if there is any question, you can raise students, faculty members also. Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. That is about battery and all, which is very alien to me. So I don't have a comment on that one. But I hope that was a good paper. And next we have Miss Kel Bastikos. She will be speaking on marijuana cultivation in Senapati district, Manipur, its impact on human health and environment.
Good afternoon to everyone. Today I will be presenting a paper on the topic marijuana cultivation in Senapati district, Manipur, its impact on human health and environment. Over the years, illegal drugs consumption has grown and its strength has flourished all over the world. According to the sources, it is said that the world two most main opium producing countries are Afghanistan and Myanmar, which are characterized by the oppressive regime and lack of economic development, and a state like Manipur, which share its international boundaries with one of the leading producers of opium, is not free from it. The environmental impact of marijuana cultivation has been an issue of growing concern in the state of Manipur. Marijuana, locally known as ganja cultivations, ganja is being cultivated in the district of Senapati in Manipur. Though it has not been utilized, people in the remote area continue to cultivate this herb. Few decades ago, majority of the villagers in remote area grows marijuana as a means of their livelihood. Cultivation in these herbs has brought a lot of changes in human health and the environment. These papers will throw a light on the impact of marijuana cultivations in one of the leading villages which produces this herb. Peoples and farming. The villagers cultivate these herbs 8 to 9 kilometers away from the village settlement. Those who cultivate were allowed to use the village community land for free, and no tax were paid to the village chief or to the village authority. It is informed that the ganja cultivation has been in practice for more than 3 to 4 decades in this village. Apart from growing of ganja, they also cultivate rice and other crops for their household consumption, but not for commercial purpose. One of the main reasons why people cultivate ganja was the poor road connectivity and the exorbitant transport costs to the nearest town, which make them difficult for them to sell their agricultural produces. The market for ganja was in the village itself, as those buyers come to the village to procure it. Though it is an illegal crop, the villagers cultivate it for commercial purpose. The name of the village has been kept as unknown in order to respect the privacy and the respondent who took part in the study and to avoid compromising the reputations of the village. Aim and objective. The first aim is to find out the impact of
ganja cultivations on human health and environment. The second is to find out the reason why people cultivate this illegal plant. Methodology. This study is based on the primary data using snowball sampling, which is obtained from the in-depth interview of 100 individuals who cultivated as well as who consumed it. Impact of the cultivations and the consumption. The first one is deforestation. The forests are cleared and burnt in order to cultivate this plant. These activities has threatened so many of the endemic wildlife. Many endemic species are now forever lost due to slash and burnt cultivations. The forests which store huge amount of carbon are being deforested. The amount of carbon which is stored in the trees are now released into the atmosphere, which bring a change in the climatic conditions. A family who cultivate ganja clear 2 to 3 hectares of land or even more every year. The exact measurement of the land used for this cultivation is not known, as they usually don't do the measurements of the land while cultivating. Deforestation, as well as slash and burn cultivations and the uses of fertilizers, cause emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. All this makes a major contributors to climate change. Impact on soil. To increase the yield of the crop, every cultivators use chemical fertilizers. One of the fertilizers that they use is called as urea, which is used to enhance the growth of the plant, and another fertilizers, a chemical fertilizer is known as diammonium phosphate, which is used to increase the yield and also to darken the ground produced by the plant. It was informed that the same area which have spread the fertilizers is not favorable for further cultivations again. The chemical fertilizers hardened and reduced the fertility of the soil. Since it is an illegal activities, the cultivators were not trained of how to use the fertilizers. They just sprayed any amount of the fertilizers in their farm. Even though it is restricted by the village authority to use the fertilizers, those lawmakers are also involved in the cultivations. And the people continue to use these chemical fertilizers for many years. Most of the area which once cultivated ganja using chemical fertilizers remain as a bushland till today. Some of the areas are covered with plantain and small plants of bamboo and cane instead of big trees. Deforestation has also caused soil erosions, which erode away the topmost layer of the soil, that is humus, and make the soil unfit for other vegetation to grow. Impact on the water. Tributaries of the River River, which run down through the thick forest of the village, has changed the water level. The river water level, which was once considered to remain constant throughout the year, has been getting dry during that spring season. And the rivers swell up during the monsoon seasons, which destroy the paddy field along the bank of the rivers. The sources of water for domestic use, which is mainly in the form of stream, are getting dried up. Once which is considered to be a perennial one, and the village struggle for water during the dry season. The use of chemical fertilizers has brought a lot of changes in the environment as well as in human health. The river, which is considered as a lifeline to the villages, has been polluted with chemical. It does not only contaminate the waters but affects the farmland. All the crops which is grown in the farmland become inorganic. Effects on human health. The chemicals used during cultivations directly or indirectly affects human health. It also It is also informed that they don't even use masks or glove while using the fertilizers. Though there are some symptoms like irritations to the skin or stinging of the eyes, blurred visions, excessive sweating, shortness of breath, dry sore throat and burning of nose, etc. They don't treat the symptoms serious unless it goes on for a day or two, or more than a day or two. Though there are health issues related to these uses and consumption of chemical, people people does not take it serious and consider it as normal for those who use it. The part of the plant is used for different purposes. This plant is considered to have a very high medicinal value. The fresh leaf is used for curing dysentery. The seed is given as a feed to the chicken, as it is believed to prevent the chicken from getting different kind of diseases. Consumption of ganja or marijuana is very common among the males, starting from the age group of 14 to 45. And most of them who consume these herbs does not take it on a regular basis. Some take it for pleasures when they are with their friends, but there are also few individuals who are addicted to it. They consume it in the form of smoking. The seed is also fried and consumed by some individuals who get high after the consumption. And few of them are now considered to have mental health issues due to the impact of marijuana consumption. Though it has a very high medicinal value, people misuse it. Most of the cultivators are having an ectomorphic body, which means a lead or teeth body structures. It is also informed that during the peak seasons of harvesting, the cultivator usually have good diet, so that their health does not deteriorate the plant. This clearly shows that there is a direct impact on health while processing the herbs for its final product. Reason for cultivations. There are different reasons given by different individuals. So one of the reasons is no alternative means for the livelihood. The second one is wanted to be rich and have a luxurious life. The third one is they cultivate because they are unemployed. The fourth one is no source of income to support their children's educations. And the fifth one is cultivating because others are also doing. Conclusions. Though the village have stopped their cultivations few years back from now, and it has become one of the villages which has completely stopped the cultivations of marijuana, there is a need for awareness of the impact of ganja cultivations among the villages. The tree they have cut down and the chemical they have sprayed, many years back, they still have an impact on human health and the environment. The crop which they grow and consider as organic are no longer organic. And it will continue to impact for a longer period of time. And there is a need for awareness on afforestations, reforestations, and reclamations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masti. We'll move on to the last presenters, Dr. Salona, Department of Pole Science and BSc, Assistant Professor, and then he will be speaking on Village Alternative Council, BSc, and climate change.
Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon again. I am standing here as the last speaker of today's national seminar. So the title of my paper, which I'll be speaking in this 10 to 15 minutes, is Valley Alternative Council and the Climate Change. And the focus of the paper will be on the climatic changes experiences that we are facing in this Omai Naga community, rural villages. So I'll be focusing on that. And the things which I'm going to speak now is I will try to explain what Valley Alternative Council is all about, and the functions and the climatic impact that we are experiencing and the causes of these changes, and conclude with what are the things that we really need to do in order to bring some kind of a positive change in our society. So, Wellness Authority Council is nothing but the local government of our hilly tribal areas in Manipur. So, when we talk about government and politics of India, we know somehow. When we talk about Panchayat, we know that is also one of the local government system that is happening in the mainland rural India. And when we talk about Autonomous District Council, we also know something that it has to do with the local government system. But when we say Village Authority Council, we fail many a time to understand what exactly it's all about. So here I want you to know and have some kind of knowledge of our local government system that is happening right within our village. So Village Authority Council is nothing but the local government that is happening just right in front of us. And the power and function actually given to the Village Authority Council is not well defined. So when we talk about Village Authority Council, in principle it is very ancient, but in theory we say that it was enacted by the Parliament of India only in the year 1956. But in actual practice, how we are doing is that we do not follow exactly what is being defined in 1956 Act, but then we used to just go on the traditional way of organizing and functioning of this local government. But what this Village Authority Council is exactly doing is that they are the one who execute everything that is happening in our village. So they are the one who is going to take care of this ownership of land and taking care of, to act as a guardians of our environment. Everything is in the hands of this Village Authority Council. So the climatic change that is happening here in our daily life is happening or taking the changes in a very rapid manner. So when we try to study this one from the kind of changes that is happening in the 21st century, the consequences of these climatic change is already reaching us, and we are experiencing in many ways. So some of the points I'll just highlight here. Number one, what kind of consequences that we are facing is, number one is we are facing more diseases in our day-to-day. And one of the latest examples that I want to stress here is last year, the whole of the Senapati district got some kind of a panic because of dengue fever. I think this is the first time that is arriving here in our land. And when we talk about this dengue fever, it is nothing but there is a kind of a disease happening with these mosquitoes. Not long ago, the mosquitoes that is available in our land, actually they are not that as active as today. But today, even in the rural villages, what do we have to do is that we need to use mosquito net. Without that, we are now facing a kind of difficulties. What is happening and why these mosquitoes have become very active in our land is that because the temperature has already changed. So this is something that we need to be really concerned about. And the point number two consequences that I want to stress is the drying of water sources. Irrigation as well as drinkable water is now becoming a source of concern in all the places. So this is also something that we need to really look into that. An increase of crop pests. Insects are now increasing in all the places. So everything that you plant in your garden, now it is being attacked or infected by some kind of insects. So this is happening not long ago, but in our time, this is becoming very, very, something very frequent, common that we are faced. We are faced with this kind of challenges. And another point, what we can see, the kind of consequences and challenges that we are facing is delay of this monsoon season's arrival. So see, this is also giving a kind of a tough challenge that we really need to think about this. So what is exactly, bringing these kind of difficulties in our life? What are the causes? Just 1 or 2 points. I will roughly take it down here. I will not go anything in details because we are already detained here for some time already. So point number 1, causes. What I can see here is that we are lavishly or carelessly taking down of our natural environment. For example, by cutting down the trees, by clearing off the forest for different sorts of cultivation. This need to be checked and taken these activities very seriously. Number 2 causes, what I want to stress here is that the nature of hunting and the fishing that is being practiced in our areas. So what happened is that we are borderless with the kind of environment that we are really living together. For example, today, if we go to your villagers will be going for hunting, using different kind of weapons, using different kind of guns, for example, we should say. Now the arrival of this air gun, girls may not have much idea about this, but boys will definitely have. Arrival of air gun, very recently, just 2 or 3 years back, this arrived. And together with the guns, it comes with some kind of telescope, where we can choose the target where to put the bullets in. So this kind of equipments we are already start using in order to destroy our nature. And what about the fishing if we come to see about that? Traditional way of fishing is good, but today we are using different kind of chemicals. Today we are using different kind of electrical devices to kill all the aquatic animals that is available in our river. So for example, these things we need to understand, and we need to educate ourselves as well as to our people back home. And point number 3 which I want to stress is that shifting of cultivation system. Once upon a time in the rural areas of Poma area, the paper which I focus is that shifting cultivation is not very much practiced, but most of our time and labor used to be in the field. But today, with the reviving or arrival of commercial activities and with the development happening in our place, now we are slowly abandoning working in the field and going to this zooming or shift cultivation, something like this. So as we shift our cultivation's nature, we are now started destroying or clearing off the once upon a time the beautiful forest which we have. Now it is being cleared and made into some kind of a cultivated kind of a system. So this is how we are just destroying our environment, and this is how we are bringing different kind of difficulties in ourselves. So what do we have to do in order to bring some kind of corrections and to bring some kind of a positive change in order to avoid these kind of consequences that we already have? Point number 1, what I want to stress is that we need to participate in the local governments. So just some few days back, our VPs says in the assembly that we really do not know who is the chairman of our village. One very challenging point.